You're listening to the Dirty Air Podcast.
Oh, we're gonna do it live this week? We're live right now. Live from the High Roller at the LINQ in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the Dirty Air Podcast Champions Week Spectacular with your hosts, Chuck Bush, Matthew Dillner, and Jonathan Merriman, with music by CJ Latirzo, with special guest 2015 NASCAR XFINITY Series champion, Chris Buescher.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an exciting live version of the Dirty Air Podcast here in the High Roller at the LINQ in Las Vegas. A podcast from a pod. I'm Chuck Bush. This is Matthew Dillner, Jonathan Merriman, and we are joined by our special guest, 2015 NASCAR XFINITY Series champion, Chris Buescher. Dude, thank you for joining us on our lovely podcast pod.
On a groundbreaking podcast.
Groundbreaking. This is our first live attempt at a podcast.
And our first podcast in a pod.
In a pod.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I will say that.
It's like Garage Cam, but going in a circle instead of
And just one driver.
Yeah.
And in a pod.
So I got a real question for you. I got a real question for you. Has it sunk in yet?
It's starting to.
Starting
It's
to?
starting to. We're getting there. It's been exciting and been a good time. Good time since the banquet and trying to let it all soak in. But I think we know 2016 sneaks up on us before we know it.
That new Xfinity Series trophy that they debuted this year, where have you put it?
I haven't gotten it back yet.
Really?
I'm still waiting to get it to the house. I gotta get furniture at the
still
house.
in
though.
turn
I don't.
three.
I don't have a.
Oh, is
Did I
it still in
forget
turn
it?
three?
at Homestead?
Shoot, I hope not.
I hope you picked it up.
Was I supposed to?
I don't know. I mean,
What Chuck isn't telling you is he saw that
Yeah.
you left it and he has it in his house now.
Does
it come with instructions on how to clean it, how to shine it up? What do you have to use on that thing in case it tarnishes?
I thought
it
that
all?
was the one that you had to like armor truck up to a jewelry store or something.
Gotcha.
Or to clean it.
Backpack
Is that
blower.
true? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I got one of those. I can handle that.
get a little lens cloth, wipe it off, you'll be good to go. Now, Homestead, we took a week off because there was, Thanksgiving last weekend, so we kind of had
We were eating a lot of turkey.
We do a weekly podcast, and we took a week off. But there was a lot of things that happened in Homestead. Not only did you win a championship, there were two other first-time champions at Homestead.
So 3 first-time champions.
Yeah,
That's
a
impressive.
big weekend.
Very interesting week.
Did it feel like the first time?
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
The very first time.
Yes. Song references.
Song references.
But I have to say about that race, you know, for me watching it, I know you seem like you're cool as a cucumber all weekend, but I know inside, you know, anytime you're in a race car and anytime you're in a situation like that, there's an inherent pressure involved. So how did you deal with that pressure, and how was it managing that race? Because it seemed like, you know, you had to race safe the whole race.
Apparently, I put on a good show because it was extremely stressful coming down to the end there. But you know, it was something that we had worked for all year, and you know, I think Mike Kelly at Roush put it the best way. He said, "Y'all have earned the right to be able to go to Homestead and be safe and go out there, and that's all you have to do." And so, you know, it's not fun racing that way. It's very stressful. The whole race was just trying to figure out where everybody else was at. We knew if we could see them, we were going to be just fine.
And then you lost a lap too.
Lost a lap, but I'm telling you, the two Kyles, they set a pace that was just unreal there. But I don't know if luckily is the right word to transition, but luckily the guys that we were racing also ended up a lap down. So, you know, it all cycled out, and we were fine there at the end. It was just nerve-wracking.
Was that kind of how the back end of the season went? Because you held that points lead. It seemed like anywhere between 19 and maybe 25 points lead throughout the back half of the year. How stressful was that, you know, seeing those guys inch up a little bit and then pulling back out and then seeing those guys inch up a little bit more?
It was tough because, you know, we had a lot of good weekends. We're like, all right, man, that's our big gain right there. We're going to be just fine. And then we go into the next one and it flops right back around. So, you know, when you look back and if you want to take races that you say, oh, if this would have been different, we'd have been in better shape. I'm going to keep coming back to Bristol because it's going to hurt me until we get back there and are able to get a win. But you know, places like that or races like that where we really had a shot to stretch the lead out and we weren't able to capitalize, that's why it was so stressful on the back half. On the flip side, going to Darlington, my favorite racetrack. I do not have the results to show that until this year. We were able to get top 5 finish there, whereas the other guys did not have a very good day. So that worked really well for us.
I know, the championship, the pinnacle of your career, obviously. But everybody's kind of talking about next year with you right now. I know you're going to be sitting down with Jack, I believe this coming week or whatnot. What does Chris Buescher want to do? Do you want to come back and defend that title?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it a lot in our sport that guys either from their standpoint get in a rush or they are pushed into something that they are rushed by everything else going on, and more often than not, that doesn't really seem to be the best way to work out a racing career and to be here for a long time. And so from my standpoint, I like where I'm at. I know that I'm one of the older of the younger crowd coming up through, but it's okay. I mean, I like making sure that I'm ready to go before we move into the next series. And so if next year was another Xfinity schedule, I'd be really happy with that.
Well, one of the cool things about this new live chat that we're doing right now, we've got a new player window, so you can now click on your chat box, which is on I think it's on the left-hand side.
It's on the right side of the video.
No. The new one, you click on the logo on the left-hand side, and it pops up on the right-hand side, and you can move it around the screen. So you could even put it over Dillner's face if you wanted to, so like you couldn't see his face.
That would be good.
But the cool thing is, since we're doing this live, we get questions, kind of like Garage Cam. So I've got a question here from Jack Herrer. I apologize if I said your name wrong. Jack wants to know, Chris, how do you feel about the possibility of having postseason format in the Xfinity Series, kind of like the Cup Series?
So, I have a mixed take on that. From one side, I'm kind of old school in the way that don't like change, and this is the format that every single racer has grown up with their whole lives until the Cup Series. That first race of the season matters just as much as the last one. So when we go to Daytona, you better have a good day so that you can capitalize at Homestead. When you look at what the chase has done for the Cup Series, though, and what it has done for the drama, the excitement at the end of the year, I think that's great for the sport, and I think it's awesome to see what it does and how it rejuvenates the series there. It's a tough call. I mean, I like, obviously I'm a little biased to the current program. I think it worked well for us. But at the same time, if you go to that newer style program, it enables you to race a little harder at the end of the season. I've been pretty clear, I don't like points racing, so I don't like going out there and having to be safe. So to answer Jack's question, I mean, it could go either way, and I'm sure I could find the upside in either of it.
Personally, I personally like the fact that we have that format in Cup. Now, I think it would bring excitement to the Xfinity Series, a little bit more increased excitement. But I like the fact that the Truck Series, the Camping World Truck Series and the Xfinity Series have that, and then it's really unique to Cup, the chase, personally.
I think it's important to have the variance and to make sure that guys coming up through the sport in the truck and Xfinity schedule know how to race that way. They know how to be consistent and work a whole season. And then when you get up to Cup level, then you obviously get to go out for those great finishes.
Well, it's not like we didn't have. I mean, the points battles we had were naturally cultivated, and they were close. So it was exciting that you almost really didn't need to reset it this year because everybody was so bunched up, especially on the truck side of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama going on this year at the end of the season, chase or no chase. So it worked out well for three of us, and all three of us being new to the championship dealings, but it's so it worked. I mean, both formats worked well for all of the series.
It's youth is what it looks like to me. You've got two younger champions in the Xfinity and Truck Series, but also Kyle Busch is not. He's still young. He's still there is a potential for the champions from this year to be champions going forward. So I mean the future is bright right now, I think, for the sport, much like the sun that we're coming up on here towards the top. Now, John Douglas said, wait, you guys are on an observation wheel?
Yeah, well, we're basically on this giant.
He's very
hub
observant,
here
is what he
at
is.
the High Roller in Las Vegas at the LINQ. You got to come check it out if you're in Las Vegas. This thing is awesome. And how high are we? Can we see how high we are?
We now are getting close.
400 feet.
480.
480 feet in the air right now above Las Vegas.
And when we get to the top,
It's 550 at the top.
550 at the top, and we will be at the, not quite the highest point on the strip, but we will be
Dead
at
center,
the
right?
dead center. Strip's 4 miles long. We'll be in the center, and this is not really a little known fact, but a well-known fact. This is the world's largest observation wheel. Like this is it. Guinness Book of World Record holder, largest, bigger than the London Eye, bigger than there's one in.
So is this the world's biggest podcast then? From an observation?
Yes.
Done.
It is.
World's biggest podcast.
We go 508 feet now.
508 feet? So we're now the world's tallest.
What do you think of this
climbing.
view, Buescher? Come on.
I'm pretty impressed.
What do you think?
I apologize. I'm not really looking anyone in the eye when we're
Right.
talking. I'm looking around. So
You
I'm
can
distracted.
you can see down here. There was an event earlier with some of the chase drivers. You can
On the
see the show
promenade.
cars on the promenade here at the
Barely.
LINQ.
They look like die-cast.
And then there's
Yeah,
gonna
they
be
are die-cast.
There's going to be a big event later today in Old Las Vegas there at Fremont Street.
Which we will have coverage of on NASCAR.com. So check it out later. Jonathan Merriman will put together a package.
Game show format should be pretty fun, entertaining.
And then tomorrow's the big deal. So if you're in Las Vegas, Nevada, if you're not, you can watch it live on NASCAR.com. You can listen to it on NASCAR Sirius XM Satellite Radio, Channel 90. But tomorrow, what I think is the coolest event of all Champions Week.
We're within 10 feet, fellas.
victory lap.
Of 550 feet.
We're at 541.
There we go.
Here we go.
It's counting
It's like
that.
a count up.
What you guys can't see, you might be able to see these screens in here, but they're giving some facts. They're showing the elevation that we're at right now.
Things start flashing on the monitors when we get to 550. So
We're getting distracted.
Just hit 550.
Hey, and we're at the top, and you can
at the
see,
top.
like, it's awesome. This is if you're in Vegas, come check this out. You'll have fun. It's big enough that you could fit 40 people in here.
I'd like to see the burnouts from up here. They're going to be on Las Vegas Boulevard somewhere around here tomorrow. The big burnouts. So it's going to be.
What happened? I can't do a burnout on the strip?
I don't know.
What
I think we
happened
should lobby for the Xfinity Series
Absolutely.
champion to get that. So
Absolutely.
at least we got an Xfinity Series champion in a pod.
We're in a
So that's a
pod.
start,
Yeah.
you know.
Speaking of being at the top, we're here with.
Hey, see what he did there.
Clever guy.
I earn my paycheck every once in a while. But let's talk about Kyle Busch. There was a lot of drama about people saying he missed the first 11 races of the year. We were talking about it at dinner last night, and he mentioned it yesterday in a chat that said that a lot of people said he had an asterisk beside, his championship. And we were talking, and
That's not an asterisk.
And the only reason it should be there is because he spotted the field 11 races and then came back and kicked
Whooped their
everybody's butt. So, what do you make of Kyle Busch's performance in the Cup Series, coming back and just, taking names later, so to speak?
It's not like he took a vacation for 11 races. It's not like he wanted to be out. He wanted to be on track and doing the same thing. And like you said, after you spot 11 races of the guys, you better make sure you come back and get it done quickly. And he did. That's what it all comes down to, is people are mad.
The fact that he had to fight through.
It's the hardest fought championship battle we've seen in a long time.
Hey, championship battles aren't just fought with numbers. We always look at the numbers at the end of the season. Oh, he was 20 points behind and he caught up or whatever. He was laying in a bed in a heap, couldn't move, didn't know if he could walk. That's the biggest comeback of the year.
And the main thing that we were talking about last night is that it's a team sport.
Exactly.
You look at the NFL, you see somebody like Peyton Manning go out with injury.
Kyle's the quarterback.
Somebody steps up, takes his spot, they get there, Peyton Manning comes back in the playoffs. They could make a run to the championship.
Yep.
Do we put an asterisk next to that
NASCAR
championship?
is a team sport.
It's a team sport.
Yep.
What's your take on it being a team sport?
I'm with you. It's absolutely a team. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that nobody will ever see. We're just a small part, from sitting behind the steering wheel, and it's absolutely impressive what he was able to do, and it's special. You probably won't ever see anything done like that again.
What about Jeff Gordon's season? Because obviously, you have the Kyle Busch story, and arguably the second or first, you can flip-flop them, biggest story of the year is Jeff Gordon's retirement, and the fact that he got to go to Martinsville and win in such dramatic fashion and put himself in the finale there. That's just such an amazing story for you as a young driver, obviously looking up to a guy like Jeff Gordon.
This will be interesting.
It must have been great.
He was telling me before he grew up a Rusty fan. So.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, as from a Rusty fan's perspective,
Jeff Gordon's retiring? Is he done?
I think so. I think I heard that.
Maybe a little bit of a rumor there, but no, it's I was a Rusty or and a Mark Martin fan growing up, but
so a Ford guy. I mean, that's just natural.
Hey, it worked. So I've been there all along, but. Naturally, it's really cool to see what Jeff has done for this sport when you look back and see everything that has changed because of him and
for young drivers
exactly.
like you. Yeah.
I mean, that is a huge part of why we don't have to have 30 years of seat time now to be able to get into this series. So, we gotta say thank you to him for that and enable us to even be here and be in a giant pod right now. I mean, it's cool to see him go, and I know he's not stepping away from the sport completely. He's just not going to be behind the wheel anymore. So we'll still see him at the racetrack. I'm sure he will still be doing all he can to promote our sport and make it as better as he can.
See, I mean, in the booth starting next year in Fox will be interesting to see him call the races. Justin Burrows says it's 4 peas in a pod. 24 peas in a pod since we're talking about Jeff Gordon.
Well, we have a whole crew in the pod, okay? Because it isn't just us. We got CJ Latiers, Matt Stricker, Matt Roper, we got Kate Davis,
Rashawn
Brown behind the camera.
And I just jumping back to the Gordon thing for a second, I'm getting a little all over the place, but we've seen a lot of interesting moments from him during Champions Week in the past.
Oh, yeah.
We got the breakdancing, you got the milk toast. Some of these are on NASCAR.com. There's some moments up there, so go check them out in the video section. Do it after this, but check it out. What do we think we're going to see from him maybe this year? Are we going to see some more breakdancing? What do you think?
Don't look at me.
I think we're going to see a really emotional speech. And a poignant speech. I don't think he's going to get emotional as far as crying, but Jeff really cares about the sport and his legacy in it. And you would think after Homestead he would be so disappointed with the fact that he didn't go out on top winning as a champion. But the way their season culminated at the end with that win at Martinsville, he was just so happy with how that whole weekend even went, even though he didn't have the championship trophy at the end.
And we're lucky enough to get to kind of be a part of it and get to watch it. It's going to be amazing.
I mean, how can you be disappointed? He made it to the playoffs. I mean, he made it into that last group and was there fighting for it and in it the whole day. I mean, when it came down to the end, obviously Kyle pulled it off, but he was right there with it. I mean, there's absolutely nothing to be disappointed in.
He gets to walk off, at a pretty good place in his career as a winning NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver. Not a lot of people get to do that.
Well, last year we saw the walk-off from Kevin Harvick.
Yeah.
This year
he had a little bit of a dramatic situation. Dover.
Yeah, Dover. He goes out there and does what he needs to do to get the win, but he's still there at the end. Harvick's season. I mean that.
It's arguably, there's so many people, if you look at the season, you could look at Matt Kenseth, what an amazing season he had, and then of course, got in a little trouble there with his deal with it. Just had to bring that up. Every podcast we bring it up. But if you look at that and you look at Kevin Harvick's season, you look at Joey Logano's season.
6 wins for that guy.
Who's the driver of the year? We have a champion, but who would be the driver of the year? Would it be Kevin Harvick? Would it be Kyle Busch? Would it be Joey Logano with all the wins he had, or Matt Kenseth? There's a bunch of guys in the Cup Series, Sprint Cup Series, that just had over-the-top good years this year.
I think if you're asking us, I think Kyle.
Yeah,
I mean, we've talked about it before. Broken leg, miss 11 races, you come back and you win 5. That's.
I know the most disappointed driver of the year is obviously Joey Logano, but what do you think? Who's the driver of the year? Not just a champion.
So I'm with you there. There's a lot of guys that were not in that final race of the year, going for the championship, that had incredible seasons, and the 20 and the 22. Obviously, we got to keep grouping them together because they both had stellar years. I mean, they were both very competitive, and a lot of guys are out there that were really competitive. And it's strange that you didn't see them in the playoffs, knowing how everything went throughout the year. But the way the chase is and the way circumstances fell, it did. It just changed it up, and it put a different set of guys in at the end that maybe we didn't expect to see, but we're definitely definitely deserving of being there.
Well, and you go back and look, and we talked about all those second place finishes Kevin had all year long. And in the last race of the year, like, second place wasn't good enough. You had to go out there and win that race for the second year in a row. It's I'm throwing out a lot of twos and seconds here, but I mean
that's what made it exciting.
That's how close that the chase format makes it. Just all those second place finishes, we thought he was going to be the favorite going in there, and Kyle Busch comes out and ekes one out.
Well, and that sneaky pick that we had talked about on the podcast earlier in the year, that 78, Martin Truex Jr.
Yes.
Those guys, I mean, that
What a
team.
season.
In Phoenix, seeing the look on Cole Pearn's face when he's going around and it was raining, so he had his hood up and he goes to hug the crew guys and they're like, oh, it's you, and just the excitement on their faces that they made it. That single car team made it into that final round.
They have potential to be a lot better next year with Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. I mean, the transition periods can be tough. Switching manufacturers and stuff like that, but we saw the speed Gibbs had all year long with that low downforce package. So
I think that's going to be the most interesting story. You just brought it up for next year is the low downforce package. I think in the Cup Series and the Sprint Cup Series, that's just going to be a game changer across the board. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have, or there's some guys that like the feel of a lot of downforce. I know the Xfinity car is so much different because you have a lot of downforce, yet it's a momentum-based car in a way. What would you rather have?
I actually got the chance to test one of the low downforce packages, and I loved it. I mean, it's going to be hard to pair the package with a tire that makes everybody happy, which you'll never do. Yeah. But it's going to be hard to find something that works well together. But once they do that, I think it's going to be great for the racing. I think we saw it this year. The two races, was it two, right? Yeah. Two races. Yeah. I thought they were great
Kentucky
races, and I'm a little selfish, but they went better for RFR as well. So I'm looking forward to it next year.
I'm looking forward to taking another trip in this thing here. This has been awesome.
Take another lap.
I would like to.
We got another question here in our chat from again. It's Justin Burrows again. He wants to know, what's your favorite Vegas show? Have you been to any shows out here?
I have. I've only been to one. So was it David Copperfield? Is that it?
Magic.
Went to a Magic show.
That was my magic move.
Hey, Blue Man Group. I did go to a Blue Man Group.
Magic Man and El Diablo.
Yes. he's like Blue Man Group today. He's wearing the blue.
See, I'm on it.
You're blue. That's
blue in there.
It is blue.
Chuck's colorblind, so let's not.
Oh, fun fact. This is also on the screen earlier. Nevada comes from the Spanish word for snowfall. Why?
I think they were confused.
Well, if you look at the mountains surrounding us out here, and I don't know how well you can see it. Now we're kind of low. We're in the buildings right now, but you can see snow. And flying in, there was snow everywhere.
Snow way.
It's Snow MG.
Oh, you're colorblind, but there's no snow on any mountain.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to go with Buescher on this.
His glasses were smudged.
There's some snow around here somewhere.
It's Chris Buescher.
I've seen it.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out.
It's all good.
Hey, all you want. Okay.
It's 2015. We can make snow.
There you go.
So we got another sort of question in here. What is your favorite Champions Week moment of all time?
Champions Week moment.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna let y'all go first because I gotta come back on that one. I gotta think on that.
Jeff breakdancing was that's up there.
That's a good one.
Oh, geez. Put me on the spot. I'd have to go back to when I was used to work with TNN. We used to take the rookies out every year, and taking Kenny Irwin out, and my brother asking me, hey, I lived in New York. What club should we take him to wow him with New York? So let's just say we took him to this absolutely wild club, and Kenny was, God rest his soul, he was such a nice young man, and he was very laid back, and let's just say his eyes were this big.
I'm gonna have to go with watching the burnouts on the Strip. Personally, that to me is awesome.
I think Strickert was our producer was in one of the cars for a burnout, so that's probably
in the Champs car last year.
The Champs car last year with Kevin Harvick. I mean, that's pretty darn cool. We're gonna have Claire B. Lang in Harvick's car.
It's gonna be a
NASCAR
big show
lap this year. So
I'm putting you on the spot. So what's your favorite moment?
I think I'm going to go with the milquetoast, and not because it was great then, but it came up this year again at the Xfinity banquet with Eric up on stage, and the correlation between the two was actually pretty funny. Especially the fact he was actually not old enough to drink, so it made perfect sense.
Did he have a milk mustache afterwards? Because that would have made it really fun.
It was out of a
He could have done
champagne
something
glass.
different.
It was a little too fancy for me.
Well, another one is Jeff was talking about, this was in 97 or 98. He was talking about being named on NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers list back then, and to kind of like reflect, watch that now is kind of, you know, kind of gives you chills a little bit because he's done so much since.
Yeah, back then he was just like you. You know, started out in the Xfinity Series, you know, with that Baby Ruth car and whatnot, and had the success and moved on to Cup. So, I mean, that's the cool thing about it. You know, you're talking about youth. You know, Jonesy being up there, Eric Jones won the Camping World Truck Series title, and you and Kyle Busch, who's still kind of youthful. Is this a youth movement going on in NASCAR right now? Because we're seeing another trend of maybe some veterans kind of retiring out of the sport.
And naturally, you're going to keep seeing that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to come as, you know, guys have gotten to the point where they've had their fun, that they've enjoyed what they've done, and they're ready to have a little bit of downtime, I think, for most of them. But I think you will definitely see as we move forward, there's going to be a lot more of it coming up. There's going to be more rides becoming available, and you're going to see a lot of the guys from the truck, Xfinity, and even other series coming up into the Cup side.
Is this something that excites you, being a guy who, you know, I mean, it's a lot of good rides is going to be available, you know, coming up here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of cool things coming up, and the cool thing is I've raced with a large majority of these guys throughout my career. I know what they're capable of. I mean, it's going to be very impressive racing. It's going to be hard racing, and it really should put on a great show in the next 5 years.
Well, and speaking of putting on a good show, in Homestead, when you did your burnout there, you put down some massive 11s in that yellow. I mean, that, like, I was just watching you go down the front, and the doors are opening on the pod right now.
We're not going to let anybody in, though.
They're giving us another loop.
Yeah, but this is the cool thing about it. You just kind of, it keeps moving, and they pop open, and you walk off. But back to Homestead, that burnout, I was in awe as you're just sitting there burning down those tires. Do you have any pointers for these guys that are going to do their burnouts on the strip?
Any pointers?
Yeah.
See, that was, I think, the fourth time that I've actually been allowed to do a burnout. It's always been frowned upon. Everything I've ever done, it's like save the equipment, save tires. You know, and at this level, we throw our tires away at the end. So
you're like a kid in a candy store.
Oh man, I had a blast. So I'm sitting there turning all the brake lines to the front, and trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I forgot the flag. I forgot to get the championship flag because I was in the moment. Basically, did a burnout until the tires blew out. I forgot about the inner liners. I should have blown them out.
Next time.
I should have kept going.
Yeah.
Next year. There you go.
Well, speaking of that, looking tomorrow at these guys, they're going to do these burnouts on the strip.
I'm not going to be doing the burnouts.
No, but we have got a full slate of activities tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. on NASCAR.com from 2 to 4:15 Eastern, noon local, Eastern local, Standard, Pacific, all that stuff. The NMPA Myers Brothers Award Luncheon, you can watch it live on NASCAR.com. There'll be a bit of a lunch break in there, but
that's where they award the most popular drivers. So many great awards in our sport. So, actually, it isn't this year.
They're doing that at the actual banquet this year.
Yeah, it's at the banquet. That's why we have other people in this.
We have other people doing.
No, living in the past. Don't.
Living in the past.
After that, there's a little bit of a break, so get you some dinner in there. Break for a little dinner. And at 6 p.m. Eastern on NASCAR.com, watch the NASCAR Victory Lap fueled by Sunoco live from the Las Vegas Strip. That's where Matthew Dillner, Claire B. Lang of SiriusXM Radio, Jonathan Merriman, they will be bringing everything to you, all the coverage of the burnouts from the different stages. There's going to be 2 burnout ares. You're going to be at one.
I'll be at the first one.
Yeah, Claire's going to be in the
hanging
car
out for dear life in Kevin Harvick's car.
Claire will
the
be
other one.
Yeah, it's going to be. Don't miss that. It's one of the coolest things all year. At 7:15. So after that, Matthew Dillner, and Claire B. Lang will get in the Toyota pace car to ride over to the NASCAR after the lap. Like I said, it's a full day of activities. Wow, I'm getting some glare from the sun, so I'm trying to read this stuff.
We have
7:30. You're going to go back to Charlotte and hear tweets you might have missed from Taylor and Costner. It's going to be live from Charlotte. We're going to throw it back to them,
and that'll be fun.
While you guys are getting out of the car, and it'll be so tweet. Use hashtag Champions Week. say stuff about it, and we'll get it on air. It'll be live. They'll talk about it. It'll be cool. And then after that, from 8:05 to 9:30 p.m., NASCAR After the Lap live from the Palms. Watch it live. The stream is presented by Coke.
Coca-Cola. And I'll tell you what, if you've never watched After the Lap, it is pretty much unfiltered humor and just, it's wild.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Have you watched it? You need to watch it.
Apparently,
It's pretty
I'm going to be there for it this year, so I'm actually out here.
All right.
Well, firsthand.
That along with the burnouts, that's a cool thing. Like it's like this. It shows drivers more in a natural, relaxed state, if you will.
Natural in your
Nothing
pod.
more natural about a pod.
Yeah. And
With a
it's
bunch of
kinda-
guys afraid of heights.
I'm not afraid of heights. I kind of like it. I wish the floor was glass too. It'd be kind of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
That's
Factory.
over the line for me.
Well, speaking of over the line, do you have an Eagle fact this week?
Eagles fly. It heights above where we're at right now.
It's Champions Week and you mailed it in.
I didn't mail it in.
You did.
I'm scared
literally
right
did.
now.
Your disappointment to freedom.
And Eagles.
That hurts. My birthday's July 4th. There's your Eagle fact.
Do you have any Eagle facts?
We do Eagle facts every week, so if
we
you,
were
if you have
chasing
that. I did not have a heads up.
Because he loves freedom.
Here, I'm
so,
going to get on. I'm going to search this.
Google an Eagle fact.
We're chasing pigeons around the parking lot.
Yeah, we were before the show, so that's why I didn't have an Eagle fact.
Oh, you got a pigeon fact because they were trying to
With
chase
using donuts as
Pigeons love donuts.
bait.
Little known fact,
But they
pigeons
don't
love donuts.
love Jonathan Merriman.
No.
None of us do. But for all of us here,
Thank the great people at the High Roller.
oh yeah, the High Roller of the LINQ in Las Vegas, thank you so much for having us and hosting this first ever live Dirty Air podcast from a pod. So for all of us here, for Matthew Dillner, Jonathan Merriman,
Something like that.
Merriman, and Chris Buescher, I'm Chuck Bush reminding you to hop out in that clean air, chase down the leader, and we'll see you next week, baby, back in the pack, here in the Dirty Air.